Probably by my enormous traps. So I'm swole.
Like Desmond Bain?
No, not that swole. Got little short arms.
Your
T-Rex.
favorite NFL-looking NBA player.
He is my favorite. I love him. He looks like if you cast a movie for a basketball player, they just get somebody who look athletic and throw a jersey on him. Like, hey, basketball guy.
Oh, that's funny.
Welcome to Debatable. I'm Domonique Foxworth. That's Monica McNutt. And Alabaster is the one who asks us questions. So give us some.
Guys, we made it. It's the NBA Finals we all dreamed of. Not Celtics Lakers. We got Nuggets and Heat. And Vegas, the sports book, has installed the Nuggets as a minus 480 favorite to win the NBA championship. Do those odds seem right to you?
Whew. So I'm going to pretend like that's a big number that I'm shocked by, but I'll be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot about betting. 400, it seems like a lot. So you got to bet 480 to get 100, right? That's how that works?
Yes, I believe.
Seem about right to me. You might be able to put more on it. I don't know, Monica. Say smart basketball things.
Okay, that number seems a little high because, just follow me here.
I'm with you.
Apparently, in the gambling world, the Heat, are 13-5 against the spread. Okay, so that's the gambling of it all, right?
Okay.
The basketball of it all is that an 8 seed is not supposed to be in the finals at all. And so every time we have counted the Heat out, here they come. Although I do think this is a very different task.
I feel like the Heat have been underdogs. Not I feel like they have been underdogs in every series. Maybe not in Knicks. Maybe people thought they were going to beat the Knicks series. By seed, they've been underdogs. I don't know about the gambling numbers, but this is the toughest task that they are going to have to face. So gambling aside, they definitely should not be favorites. We are banking on Heat culture, and culture is great. I think culture will give you the edge when you are going against a team that is not nearly as talented and a team that also seems to be running through these playoffs like a buzzsaw. Like the Celtics had hiccups. The Nuggets have not hicked up once this time. They just rolling through teams. So it looks a lot harder for me to believe in Eric Spoelstra has some special plan, especially since the Nuggets be whooping the Heat. Were they 11-2 against them? And Jokic putting up crazy numbers. So it's hard, real hard. Even in the Celtics series, we could look back to last year and say they took them to Game 7. The Heat played the Celtics well. I don't know what we grabbing onto. Find me a matchup that makes me believe that the Heat can win this. Please, Monica, find me a matchup. The coach?
Okay, yeah. There's two that have been bounced around amongst my basketball folks as I'm listening and trying to figure out a whole as well. One, yes, coach. Coach Spoelstra has been terrific, arguably the best coach in the league. X's and O's, but also just instilling an irrational level of confidence in his guys, and then they go out and perform. Two, the Nuggets have sort of been picked on in terms of their interior defense, which I think is one of these things that looks one way in the metrics, but in the reality, it's not necessarily going to pan out that way. So there is the suggestion that if the Heat can attack in the paint, they can find a weakness as far as the Nuggets are concerned. Okay, so what does the Heat attacking the paint look like? It looks like Gabe Vincent dribbling the ball, keeping his dribble alive, taking sometimes questionable shots, but also his floater. It looks like Jimmy Butler, obviously mid-range master, getting into the paint, but also getting to the free throw line, which I do think Jimmy can do. He shot 15 free throws in Game 6. That's very much a part of his game. But if this is to be true, it also relies heavily on Bam turning into an offensive monster in the paint, which I do think Bam is better than people give him credit for, but passing to a degree, he's like a poor man's Jokic.
Yeah.
Passing and facilitating is just as much a part of his game as trying to be a scorer. He's not really a back-to-the-basket guy. He can score that way, but he's much better with a little pull-up right in the paint just below the free throw line. So those are my two things that give the Heat their best chances. And then if you buy that they need to get Game 1 and maybe the Nuggets have been rested, I don't buy that they've got enough left in the tank with that quick turnaround and the altitude.
Yeah. How poor is this man that sees Bam and is like, oh, that's two-time MVP Jokic? That is a poor man right there.
Theory, a big guy that has some versatility, like facilitates for the offense. Come on, Foxy, come with me.
When you were saying the interior, like attacking him on the interior, the first thing I went to was think about Bam and a lot of these big game situations. Like, I don't want to act like he's not impactful and he's not good. He was very good and very impactful in the last game, the game 7. However, what he is never going to be is like a consistent offensive threat, because even in that game 7 where he was rebounding, defending, and as Stan Van Gundy pointed out, screening his off, he was not making shots. He was taking shots. They weren't going in. He didn't seem to have a touch. So Bam to me feels like a secondary scorer almost. And if the crux of your offense is based around Bam inside against Jokic, I don't feel great about that. And Jimmy, so yeah, I get it. Jimmy penetrating to the defense, but it's tough when there's a man guarding you, and I'm assuming it's going to be Gordon, who is more athletic and bigger. Jimmy going to have to pull out all the crafty moves. Them pump fakes better be hitting so hard. Oh, got to get that man off his feet. Them pump fakes better be the most enticing pump fakes ever seen in life.
All right, without looking at the metrics and the numbers and all that, when I see these two teams, if the Heat don't turn the basketball over and can keep up with the pace that the Nuggets play, to me, their best shot is to basically turn this thing into a shootout and hope that they come up with one more stop, because as a unit, there's a little bit more of a defensive constitution as opposed to the star that Aaron Gordon is as a solo defender, right? Like, Jokic doesn't get praised for his offense. Yes, he be killing on the boards and cleaning up rebounds, which, if you could argue that that's part of defense ending possessions. But, like, one-on-one, even though Max Strus and those guys get played, like, we've seen them kind of step up to this idea that they can keep guys in front of them. But if Jokic is hitting them somber, shuffle, fadeaway threes from deep, like, good luck to your best defense.
Yeah, and if they think that zone is going to work, I don't think that's going to be the answer to
zone
Jokic.
Doesn't work when you got a facilitating guy like Jokic, or for that matter, you could put Murray in the middle of that zone, and that's a wrap.
Yeah, I honestly didn't think that the zone was all that effective against the Celtics. It's like they were getting good looks against that zone in Game 7. They were getting wide open threes. It seemed like they understood how to attack it. They send somebody to like that foul line. Oh, it was the mind games that the zone. Because they were getting clean shots. They just weren't sinking them early on with 20% from 3. So I don't know. I hit you with a hard task where I made it so you had to figure out how the Heat was going to win. Here's my strategy.
Okay.
You got to go after ankles, man. You just got to slide under everybody's feet. You got to slide under everybody's feet. And all jump shots, you just got to go after ankles. Who was that guy who did it for the
Gabe Vincent slid him
No,
under.
no, not that. Gabe Vincent was unintentional. I'm thinking about the Warriors when they had the series.
Zaza Pachulia.
Zaza, yeah, got to get your Zaza on. What's up, Alabaster?
I just want to note that during the regular season, the Nuggets were the #1 team in the NBA when playing against his own. So not great for that strategy.
That's different zones. It's not the Miami zone.
I saw that stat, though, Alabaster. Isn't that percentage of the time they actually saw the zone pretty low?
I'm sure, but I think that's because you can't zone against Jokic.
Fair.
Or if you put him in the...
Which I said. Thank you. Very true. Can't zone against Jokic or Murray in the middle of a zone.
Right.
But listen, we play basketball because there's a chance. Nobody had the Heat here. So I'm excited. Maybe Bam is going to emerge as... This is the opportunity.
That's not a saying. That's yeah. Football is the any given Sunday sport. Basketball, we have series. No, the better team be winning almost all the time, except for I guess when Miami shows up every now.
The Nuggets are like the Celtics and the Heat combining, right? They've got the talent, but they also have the mentality that they've been counted out since the bubble, and they're finally healthy, and they're here, and they're about to prove it to the world. I think easily for me in the Heat Boston series, you had one team that was talented, you had one team that was hungry, and the hungrier team won. I don't question the heart of the Nuggets, the skill, or the depth. So this is about to be something.
UD, you got to earn your money. You retiring this year? Fight. You got to. You got to lure Jokic in, get a double suspension, and then you did your thing. You and Jokic got to go at it. Just has to happen. Opening tip. swing
You know
on him.
Jokic brothers are in the stadium.
No, that's why you got to get it happening quick. You
Wow.
got to get Jokic to throw a punch. You got to throw your face into Jokic's hand. That's the only, you got to get him out of the series. Right? You don't got nothing better. Your answer is give it to Bam. Let Bam work on the inside.
I mean, because Jimmy they are gonna exhaust Jimmy. But maybe Max and Duncan and Gabe and Caleb continue to shoot the lights out the ball, and then it's just raining threes, maybe?
Yeah, there's a long list of Calebs that have been finals MVPs. You better watch out for them Calebs. You don't want to mess with a Caleb.
Heat culture.
Caleb's be cooking out there. Yeah, I mean, I'm making jokes. I don't know. I think the heat culture thing is the only thing you can point to, which is amorphous and hard to believe in, but they've proven it time and time again. I think they're going to win a couple games, and that to me feels like reason enough to hang a banner. Like they already should be hanging a banner. I think that we make too much. Like you got to win a championship. No, do something special. Be the first 8 seed to get to the finals. Hang a banner, hang it up, get to Cancun as quick as you can.
Oh man, I hear you on that, but then I listen to Jimmy, who continues to say we ain't done nothing. Like right, like he is chasing this title, and so as real as heat culture is, it has gotten them here. I do wonder. Do or does? I always mess up that grammar. Will Pat Riley, Alonzo Mourning, the Brain Trust, at some point, are they, yes, we have killed it finding these gems of guys that people would count out. We've been able to put them on our roster, make them bona fide NBA players. They probably will even get paid for the low. But to win a chip, right? Like, I'm not knocking those guys. And maybe Kyle Lowry shaves 4 years off his career and gives you vintage Kyle and has a huge series. And maybe Kevin Love, who's won, is able to, beat Father Time. But at some point, you squeezed everything you could get. And listen, it would not shock me if we are. Actually, I'm lying. I would be totally shocked if they end up winning this series. But it would be the crown jewel of what they've accomplished. But at some point, I do wonder if they kind of look at their roster and figure out how to get Jimmy a bona fide, nobody questions he's going to show up and he fits running mate.
They need one, and I think they've had a great audition for anybody who's out there who might be looking to switch cities. Miami seems like a great place to go because you're going to get these, you're almost guaranteed to have role players that are going to be sufficient. You're guaranteed to have Jimmy Butler, who's going to be more than sufficient. The tough thing about this particular matchup is the Lakers are a well-coached team, and the Lakers also are a team that plays hard and is mentally tough. And the Lakers also have 2 legitimate star players, and they beat their foe. So I feel like I'm showing the Heat a lot of respect by saying that they're not going to get swept. And that's as far as I'm willing to go.
Yeah, feels about right.
Alabaster, give me my check. We earned that. All right, what's up next?
All right. We're going to talk about the big dogs, the stars in this series. Who would a title mean more for, Jimmy Butler or Nikola Jokic?
That's a tough one. So Jimmy Butler, this title is historic. Like it goes down in history across sports. It's never happened. It's impossible. It's improbable. It's up there with was it Leicestershire that won the Premier League a few years ago?
Leicester.
Oh, wow. Leicester? Oh, I was only born in England. I can't speak English.
And I couldn't help you at all. I was going to be like, yeah, Leicestershire.
You didn't even know that happened. Yeah. But I don't know. I can't think of anything else that is as improbable that was not a movie. So it'd be pretty great. I think the event itself would be huge for Jimmy Butler's reputation. I think that catapults him to tip-top tier. We have to start talking about him in the conversation with some of the all-time greats for what he was able to accomplish. And for Jokic, I think it solidifies him. I guess it kind of means the same thing. It's just a smaller jump. I think Jokic starts to get talked about in those conversations of, I don't know, Giannis and that's about it. Because,
Giannis is one. Yeah.
Yeah, Durant has a few. Steph and LeBron ain't. Yeah. But Jokic he's early in his career, so he starts to head down that track. Whereas Jimmy, this one title feels like it would mean so much to the way we think about him going forward.
There's 2 things in my mind that make this more impactful right now to Jimmy. One, he's older, just, Father Time, and his game is different, and so that's a different when you talk about the task of Father Time. Two, he has said how badly he wants it, and I'm not taking anything away from Jokic, but even if whether they win or lose, it's arguable to see a little Spurs dynasty situation happening with the Nuggets, right? Like their core is going to be intact. Guys that are trying to win, while the city may not be your favorite, like the core is intact.
Denver's great.
Sorry. Shout out Denver. I think Denver's beautiful. It's the cleanest city in the world.
It is.
So that
they got
core is
Instagram.
intact.
They got Instagram, and they know how to use the flight apps. They be all right.
Shout out to Singapore too. Very clean city.
I've heard that. I haven't been. But anyway, so I think it means a little bit more to Jimmy at this point in his career. I also think when you talk about whatever the Heat may do moving forward, right? Like if Dame is rumored to be considering Miami, that they're gonna lose some of the current roster. So you go back to finding these guys that you can trust, even if they go the undrafted route again. But like that is a bigger haul in terms of retooling. So I definitely think it would mean more to Jimmy.
Can I change the question slightly? Who do you think it means more to if this is the only title that either team gets or either player gets? Because I think that I'm leaning towards Jimmy, but I also feel like Jokic got a 4 or 5 year run in him where he is going to be at least in the conference finals, if not in the finals for the next several years. But if this is the only championship that either could win, I think that makes the question a little bit more challenging.
Well, why is it the only one either could win? How did we get there?
I just made it up. I'm just making up stuff. This is what we do. Sometimes we make it up. It's like we're going to go 10 years from now and we'll say that this was the only time that they won a title. I don't like you disrespecting my made up constructs.
I was like, both of them are not going to have a chance again? Okay.
Oh, man.
Well, no, I think that's a great thing to do because, like, think about this in theory. 2 years ago when the Bucks won their title, we thought it was going to be the onset of like a slew of championships for Giannis. And now that Bucks team has an older aging roster. We're not sure what's going to be built around him. So while it seems good for Denver for the next several years, you never know how things are going to change. So I think evaluating this on a single title scale is actually fascinating for where it'll put Jokic and Jimmy historically, because they've had very different levels of accolades in careers so far.
I believe in my question less now that Alabama
I was just about to say, the two of y'all have been working together way too long.
I'm sorry.
Like, yeah, that was great, because this question is trash.
All right, I'm going to answer my trash question myself. All right, here we go. I think it means more.
Fascinating. It's like when my friend used to be like, that's creative, a.k.a. that's ugly, Monica. Continue.
Oh, bless my heart. Oh, man. I believe that it means more to Jokic because I think Jokic has a chance to be in all-time great conversation. I think that Jimmy does not have that chance. This means this will be a footnote in history, a very important footnote. It'll be like you look at like a timeline of history. There's certain things that get ticks on the timeline and other things don't. Like this will get one, but this won't be like the beginning or the end of the Jimmy Butler era. We're just going to be like 20 years from now. Remember that time Jimmy Butler went crazy and won a championship for the Heat? But we do have a chance of being like one of the best players we've ever seen is Jokic. And if he doesn't win a championship, that conversation won't be allowed to happen no matter what else happens around him.
All right, let me put on my fascinating thinking cap. I completely disagree with you. I think that it would mean so much more to Jimmy for all the exact reasons that you just mentioned. It would not only be attached to his name, but it easily would be one of the first that were able to ever do this with so many undrafted guys. Like as an 8th seed, it would be historic all the way through. Whereas Jokic, you still could say was one of the greats, but he never won a championship. Like he won 2 MVPs and probably will win some more. Like Jimmy never won no MVP. People still argue about Jimmy as a Hall of Famer. In fact, if you were to look at their body of work in terms of regular season numbers, Jokic would probably blow him away. It would be the lore and the myth and the legend of playoff Jimmy who went nuclear and won a championship.
So I refuse to look at Jokic's body, and don't you dare ask me to do that ever again.
You said,
oh, my bad. I heard Jokic in body, and I got uncomfortable. I ain't looking at that. Jimmy? Okay. But big loaf Jokic, I'm good on that plain body. But also, way to go, Charlie. She got so passionate about that question that she said was dumb, but it got your fired up. You got more excited about answering that dumb question than any of these other real questions that we proposed. So high.
No, that was actually kind of fun. Okay, good job.
Yes. Give me my check, Charlie. I mean, Alabaster, sorry. Blew your cover.
I feel like the fact that you had to see me in shorts last time we podcasted has led we give you a level of disgust that you don't even want to think about Jokic's body. You're like, creamy thighs, no thanks.
It just looked like vanilla ice cream.
Creamy
pudding.
thighs, guys.
Just a bag of pudding.
Just like pudding leaking out the bottom of your shorts into your shoes. It was rough.
Oh man.
All right, last topic. Do you still believe that the Warriors can rebuild a contender around Steph without Bob Myers?
I mean, the sun don't cost nothing. You can go outside and get a little bit of that on your thighs. It's free. Bob Myers. I forgot. I'm just thinking about. I was just thinking about how white your thighs are. I'm sorry. So yeah, Bob Myers. Can they rebuild without Bob Myers? I mean, I don't think they can rebuild with Bob Myers. I don't know. Can Bob Myers shoot, play defense? What can he offer? what can he offer? They got to make a decision on Draymond. He's going to opt out presumably this year. Then they got to make a decision on Clay the following season. It's going to be really hard, I think, to replace their talent. They aren't getting any younger. Clay isn't the player that I think he needs to be. He's not going to be the second best player on that team. So unless Wiggins is going to take a leap or Jordan Poole is going to suddenly become a different player, I don't see it happening with or without Bob Myers. I don't know what magic you think he got.
What's the original question? Is it around Steph or is it about what are we doing?
It's about Bob Myers. He retired or he stepped down. So The question is, we're really just talking about the Warriors. We're using Bob Myers news as a way to talk about the Warriors' future because people like Steph Curry.
Got it. I still think Steph can be a centerpiece. I think it makes most sense, I think, to go with Mike Dunleavy, who's been in that organization, worked closely with Bob Myers, has a feel for what loyalties may exist.
So you don't want Joe Lacob to hand it off to Kendall? Nah.
That's not my favorite idea.
Succession on the brain.
An NBA team, I sure would be in the front office, so I get it.
That was rude. I mean, he may not be Kendall. I don't know what he actually is, but Kendall, rough end to the series for Kendall.
Here's the big thing on this one. To all of the contracts that you mentioned that have to be worked out, and I'm no expert here, so I'm not going to get into it deeply, but I do know that the CBA has made it real tricky for teams to absorb that luxury tax thing. And that was an organization previously that was like, run it up, we're going to win. We don't care.
It in the bag.
Right. It's not like that anymore. And so between the personalities, the age, the new CBA, like whoever's coming into this is not no rookie rodeo in terms of an organization that expects to be contending in the midst of a potential retool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they still got to figure out what to do with Kuminga and Moody, who haven't developed into the replacement parts that I think they wanted them to be. Maybe there's a big leap in them. I was assuming that it had to come from Wiggins, but maybe it's going to come from them, even though we haven't had any sign that they're going to be ready for that. It just it feels like you're going to need some sort of magic. And Steph is capable to, I guess if we saw what Jimmy Butler's done this year, Steph is capable of doing that, but they're in the West, which I think we thought the East was harder, but it doesn't feel like getting past. It seems like the East is more congested, but at the top of the East, it's not as scary, I think, as looking at Jokic and the Nuggets is going to be for the next couple seasons.
Yeah, the Nuggets, and I know that Warriors fans are thrilled, but Sacramento's coming, like in terms of teams that are...
That's true. They barely got past Sacramento.
Yeah, right?
If Harrison Barnes could have hit that tray ball, they are home after round one.
So it's going to be interesting to watch. I think this also is going to make us realize how unique the way the Warriors were successful truly is. Like, there are three guys from the core they drafted. I think it's a small addendum in folks' mind when you think about how many years Steph had to battle through those ankle injuries and then what it looked like when he finally started to get healthy. Like, they literally, and success for all of us has to do with a little bit of luck, but it was a good portion of luck in that in terms of things aligning just so. And then, you give Bob Myers credit and all those guys credit in terms of their work ethic. And of course, Steve Kerr, but they really were the beneficiaries of a perfectly culminated storm of health and talent. And now they really about to be like the rest of the league. They be trying to figure it out for real.
Yeah, I mean, they have the star player. If they can convince people to come play around him, they're going to have to do that. But those players are hard to find. Like, it's not. I think lots of players would be interested in doing that, but to be able to get those people to come and to fit under the salary cap is going to be an uphill battle. We know Steph has the ability to black out, so he's going to have to do that for a few rounds, and then someone's going to have to pick him up. It's just kind of what happened with Jimmy this year. Is he was crazy in the first couple rounds. And then in this round, then in this round, we've kind of leaned on future Hall of Famer Caleb.
Future Hall of Famer. I love it.
It's just not a scary name, Caleb. One of my best friends' son is named Caleb. Hope he don't listen to this. He's gonna be mad at me. His son gets good at golf though, which is what Caleb should be good at.
Caleb's a hooper though. Caleb is becoming a hooper because Caleb was a hooper for the Heat.
I know. So it's just starting now. It's just starting now. So 5 years from now, it's gonna be like the name Jalen. Just gonna be everybody is named Caleb coming up because of that run that Caleb Martin went on.
Caleb with the C, Caleb with the K, Caleb with the random Y. You know how we do.
Yes.
Like
can we get a hyphenated?
K-A-L-Y-D.
No, I want a hyphenated, just a letter K. Hyphenated, L-E-B. Leb. That's what I'm doing. Caleb. All right, Alabama, you can't take a hint, man. Bring up the other card and give us a check. We out of Caleb story.
Sorry, I was laughing about that time that the Wizards started 2 Trevors for an entire season, and Trevor Booker and Trevor Ariza. It's got to be the Caleb comparison. Not making too many NBA Trevors.
But one of those Trevors has an A in their name, or am I making that up? I know a Trevor with an A in their name.
You can't go wrong with a team full of Jalens. Like, I feel like any sport.
Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, there you go. Any sport, you hook me up with a couple Jalens, we looking at a good run. I need two Jalens, one on offense, one on defense. We looking at something. I don't know if I can say, oh, give me a Drew with a J. Give me a Drew with a J.
Drew with a J. Wow, that's
give me a Drew with a J.
I feel like this is judging your takes on Caleb Williams. You being out on Caleb's.
Oh, I forgot about Caleb Williams. No, his quarterback is different. Wow. Quarterback
to be continued.
Quarterback is different. I'm sorry, Caleb Williams.